Alrighty, today I'm going to show you how I set up my A7 Mark III. Ton of different ways to do it. This is just what works for me, so let's get into it. I use video mode for manual. I have mode 2 set for vlogging, and then I'll use S and Q if I'm going to do slow motion stuff, but those are really the three different modes for video at least. So I'm going to switch over to vlogging mode. It's all saved, and then I'm ready to go. This is mostly auto, but there are a couple different changes that I made from default. For vlogging, I set aperture priority because I usually like to keep 2.8 f-stop, and if I am in a situation where I'm doing like a landscape or I want less shallow depth of field, I'll crank it up. But everything else on auto for exposure works pretty good in aperture priority for vlogging. And I'm definitely shooting in 4K when I vlog. I'm shooting at the 24p. I just like that look. A lot of people do different stuff. Like some people shoot all in like 30 or 60 and then conform it to 24, but then have the option to do slow motion. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I'll do that. Maybe in the future I will, but 24 is good for me. This is giving me the best quality image possible. My slow motion, I want to be conformed to 24 and then from 120. I think the slower the better. I keep proxy off. Auto slow shutter is important for S and Q mode because I want the shutter speed to match up to the frame rate, or at least twice is what we say. So if I'm shooting 120, it should at least be 240, 1/240 shutter speed to get the motion blur better. Sound recording on, of course. I usually put the Rode VideoMic Pro on top. And I found that my recording level for my settings are 12. Of course, that depends on the settings of the microphone you're using, but you can watch my review of the Rode VideoMic Pro to get those settings. I like having the display. I have markers off, but you'll see in my custom button layout, I make it really easy to turn that on and off by pressing this. And the marker that I like to use is the aspect ratio, 2 to 3.5 to 1. Movie with Shudder is something that I'm not used to with the A7S Mark II, because now I can just press this button and it'll start recording, not just, with this. And I actually remapped this to be, so technically I have 1, 2, 3 different places I can press to start recording a video. I keep steady shot on, and I think auto does the job pretty well, especially when you're using Sony glass. I keep Finder Monitor on because I like being able to do that back and forth. I think it works pretty well. Continuous shooting always display is helpful because I just want to know, if I'm approaching, like 24 minutes when it auto shuts off. It's always good to have. All right, custom keys. Aperture is the wheel, just because I came from Canon DSLRs and that's where it was. So that's kind of, my muscle memory that works well for me. Custom 1, I shoot like holding the camera like this. So I like having that as the record button. Like technically I could get away with the shutter, but I'm just so used to that with the A7S Mark II, so that's what I'm gonna do. I barely ever press this button. Number 2 is focus magnifier. Super helpful to be able to shoot and just do these. I'm using these mostly. If I'm not using autofocus, I need to punch in to check focus with this while I'm shooting. So that's important to have right there with the thumb. Audio record level right here. So my thinking is that the cord for the mic plugs in right here. And then this is like, it's like the audio area over here. So I can press that to see what the levels are for audio. Focus area number 4 is right here. So focus area is good because sometimes you want it to be center. Like I found when I'm doing Zion crane, like handheld gimbal stuff, my subject is always in the middle, so I change that every so often. It's good to be able to change it. Center button is white balance. I use that a lot. Left button, like I said, that's turning on and off the marks, which I do quite often, so it's good to have that really quickly. Right button, ISO. Down button is digital punch in. So it's the APS-C mode. If I had a lens on, you could see that it's just like punching in and out. And then AEL and AF on button. These are actually super important when I'm shooting. So I know this is a button that I press quite often. And if I press and hold it, it switches from the autofocus mode that I'm on. So here, let me throw a lens on real quick actually. So right now autofocus is on, continuous. Moving the focus ring doesn't do anything, but if I press and hold this button, that immediately takes over. And I do this a lot, so it's good to have. And then this button right here, I have made switching between modes. So you kind of have to have both. And I use them a lot, so they're right here. And then for function, drive mode, focus area, exposure comp. I don't really pay too much attention to these. It's nice, you know, I almost have everything I need. So that's all set. I did change this because I want the shutter to be moving with that instead of here. To be honest, I almost never ever use this dial right here. I turn audio signals off because that's annoying. Turn airplane mode on when you're not using it to save some battery. I turn the monitor brightness down for while I'm shooting this so you can see the screen, but I usually have that all the way up, just because I like to see, especially in daylight. I turn my display quality on high, just because I want to be able to see as much as I can. I've gotten used to it over time though. I feel like you'd probably get used to whatever you use. 2-minute power save off, very important. And I will say, it's nice to be able to set your file name. So I just made KA7 for A7 Mark III. And yeah, why not? You know, it helps. And then I set up a menu with these things right here. And it's nice, so I typically just keep this menu open. And yeah, that's about it. That's how I set up my camera. As far as picture profile, don't hate on me. I'm just using standard Sony default. The mode that comes with the camera, straight from the factory, no changes. Saturation, contrast, it's just all standard, and that works for me. I think it looks great. Please don't drag me in the comments. Thank you for watching. Peace out.
Oh my god, it's such a battle. Camera versus camera.
A7III, exporting very soon. Edit is almost done, my homies. I recently discovered that I had different types of clothes hangers, like that versus that, so I bought 100 of the same type, and I'm replacing all this trash with the good ones.